All right, I'm joined by Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, and I know that we ran into each other very recently at beautiful Brooklyn Basin, a place that actually recently also had the port priority use designation removed, and it's been a success. So it was interesting seeing you in person, actually meeting for the first time. I thought we might be talking under different circumstances today, though, and we had a little bit of a setback. I might have called it a hiccup. Some people got mad. I've heard major setback. I've heard speed bump. What do you consider what happened yesterday?
Oh, I'm definitely in the speed bump camp. It wasn't entirely unanticipated because of the staff report that came out ahead of time. And, this is an advisory commission that is primarily made up of representatives from different ports around the Bay, mostly non-Oakland ports. The actual commission that will make a binding vote is primarily elected officials who have a much more comprehensive view of how we use our waterfront and how we are good stewards of our beautiful San Francisco Bay for generations to come.
Now, for context, they're going to need 2/3 vote to pass that binding vote. And obviously, I know that I heard Dave Cavil say they're going to redouble the lobbying efforts there. I've heard the opponents say the same thing. So is there anything you can do to help kind of smooth that out a little bit with the commission?
Well, it was disappointing that on a question of what is needed for port operations, there wasn't deference given to the port itself. The Port of Oakland pointed out very clearly that in the last 25 years, they have been able to double the acreage of port operations land in the Port of Oakland. They haven't even fully engaged all of that land. And Howard Terminal, just like Brooklyn Basin, is in the channel. It's not on the outer harbor with the deepest water, which is the only part of the port that can accommodate these giant mega ships that keep on getting bigger and bigger. And the Howard Terminal development will make way for a turning basin. It actually will add water to what we have right now. And so it really was a little confusing why that deference wasn't given to the port itself, who is the expert on their operations, as well as their historical and projected growth, as well as all of the environmental advocates that see this project as a much better use with some of the highest standards of environmental sustainability that we've ever seen in a project.
Yeah, I sat through that whole meeting, and one thing I thought was interesting is Howard Terminal is delivering the public access to the waterfront. There is no bay infill with Howard Terminal. And if they do add the turning basin, which there's a lot of talk they will, like you just said, it's actually adding Bay Area. It seems to check a lot of boxes to me, but is there a concern about like where you put the trucks, where you put the shipping containers? I know they're saying they have the room, but do they need to like really dial it in and just say, this is where we're going to put them?
Well, clearly that is the port's work going forward between now and June. They have to really put the details in their assertions. I think they were surprised that their own analysis wasn't given the deference it deserves. But also, these commissioners are not just port officials. I thought the representative from MTC raised a very important point. In Plan Bay Area, which really is looking to meet the state of California's ambitious greenhouse gas reduction goals, Howard Terminal has already been designated as a priority housing development area. And our ability to get housing near jobs, improve transit, this is also part of saving our bay. We know that port operations, trade, and logistics are evolving with technology to actually become more efficient, hopefully take less of our precious land and water, and particularly our clean air. And so it really was surprising that that message did not get through, but it's not surprising based on who was on that advisory committee. I am far more hopeful about kind of the comprehensive vision that the elected officials who serve on the full commission are going to bring to this decision.
Yeah, an important distinction too. The people that voted on not recommending aren't going to vote again. Those aren't the same people that are voting in this big binding BCDC vote. So I guess there's some positive there. It's not the same exact people just refiling their no votes. It's a whole new group. So
exactly,
yeah,
it is a new group. And BCDC, one of their charges is public access to the waterfront. Right now, there are just some boxes on that big giant parking lot, and the public deserves this beautiful waterfront access. That is part of the charge of BCDC, but it was not front and center with the individuals making that recommendation this week.
I'm going to turn the page a little bit off that subject. And when I talked to Dave Cavill yesterday, shortly after the vote, he had said that he was anticipating meeting with the city, and I believe he's been waiting for a little while to kind of dial in on this development agreement and get some more progress. So did anything come out of those talks? I'm still waiting to hear back from the A's, but any changes, anything new to report here?
You know, the A's have been full speed ahead. We have too. We are exchanging, versions of that development agreement, also trying to pin down that very important set of community benefits. The entitlements, all of this, it's a very, very technical project. But I've got to say, the amount of energy and attention the A's have put on this project is very, very clearly an organization that wants to get it done here. And I know, Casey, you have no doubt that anyone who works for me knows that this is one of my highest priorities. So we've got the A team working on it. And I want to add, at the A's expense, the A's actually pay for the city of Oakland staff. This project is not taking anything away from regular city services, but it also is a testament to how serious they are about actually staying rooted in Oakland.
Now, I know you interacted with a bunch of A's fans the other day at Brooklyn Basin, but it's kind of a tough time to be an A's fan right now with the trades and then the vote that didn't really go the way yesterday. Is there anything kind of positive to bring forward with this development agreement? Because I know that in the past, especially ahead of the July 20th meeting, for example, it was a bit contentious. There was a big difference. Now it's less to me about gap and more about how quickly you can get it done. Is that something we can take as a positive here?
I think it is. The posture of the A's has just been fantastic. They want to get it done. We want to get it done. It is a complicated project because it is on our precious waterfront. And there are several regulatory agencies, in addition to BCDC, that will have to weigh in. We're also going to have to come in front of the California Public Utilities Commission. So lots of boxes to check. And of course, that community benefits agreement, very important. But I feel like there is a team of people that all want to get to the same place. With all due respect to the opposition, there continues to be opposition, although I also hope that we're going to continue to address their very legitimate concerns and demonstrate to our maritime partners, all the people that are in the trade and logistics industry, Oakland is absolutely committed to our port. We are going to keep that world-class port going, and we're going to love having a new waterfront ballpark neighborhood at Howard Terminal.
Yeah, you brought it back to the port. So I just, when you listen to the public comments in some of these meetings, you hear a lot of people saying that Howard Terminal is going to shrink and ruin the port. And I just know that the A's aren't just getting this land for free. This is land that they're going to be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the port for accessing. So to me, that sounds financially responsible for the port. How do you see it? Like, can you say something to help these people ease their mind that are worried about the port growth with Howard Terminal?
So the port runs three lines of business: the airport, commercial real estate, and the seaport. And they clearly believe that turning this land over to the use of commercial real estate and housing is the highest and best use. It hasn't been used for container shipping operations for more than a decade. Again, it's the shallow part of the channel. And we've added acreage to that outer terminal. When we did the Army base conversion, it added a ton of land out where the port actually is going to be most likely to grow. So this is a natural extension of Jack London Square. We already have the train station there. We have the ferry landing there. It is just such an obvious use for this piece of land that currently is just a big giant parking lot.
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject again, but you know, every now and then I can get MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred to respond to my emails. I haven't been able to get him to respond lately. I asked Dave about this. It's you and Dave Cavill are pretty much the only people I know of that regularly get to talk to the MLB commissioner. Otherwise, it's kind of a mystery. So what has he been telling you about the progress? I know everybody just wants to see progress. That's really all anybody wants right now. But how has he been in this process lately?
You know, he's actually been a huge fan. He has always wanted it to work for Oakland. He has always wanted Oakland A's fans to keep their team at home. That has always been his position. He has never strayed from it. He's been incredibly supportive. And lately, you know, he agreed. Oakland has delivered on everything it said it would do. He said, frankly, we've perhaps exceeded expectations. So I count that as a win in my book. I know he's had a hard year and a lot of other things to think about. Although now that that player lockout is over, hopefully we can get back and focused on getting the A's the ballpark that everyone deserves.
Yeah, the last time I got a response from him, he referred to Oakland as the plan and Vegas as the backup plan, essentially, which was good to hear. But there is that backup plan. You had one of the strongest comments of the entire stadium saga recently when you said he weren't exactly buying that parallel path. But with the vote yesterday, it kind of reminds you why they do need a backup plan. So how do you feel about that right now?
Listen, I respect that they are going to work on having a backup plan. I respect that. You know, the Bay Area is a difficult place to get things done. This is a mega project. It's obviously much more than just a ballpark, and it is on the California waterfront. So I respect that they have a backup plan, but it's a backup plan. It is not parallel. It is backup, clearly.
Well, that answers that. So I'm looking at the approval timelines here. I know June is the next time the BCDC is going to meet, and that vote is binding and critical. Things have to happen pretty quickly, but I know that election season's coming up too, and I know things can get muddy. So what are we looking at timeline-wise? I know it's probably an impossible question to answer, but my fear is that they're going to lose you as a champion of the project here come, what, January now? So how quickly can things get done?
I do think time is of the essence because it's not just me. You're going to have several new members of the council, at least two for sure. Two members of the council are not seeking re-election to their current council seats because they're running for mayor. So I do think it would be important to try and make significant progress during this calendar year, just because you would have to start from scratch in educating a whole new group of leaders that have not gone through all of the steps that we have gone through together as a leadership team. But I do think this can get to a binding vote, and that is approval of the development agreement, approval of all of those entitlements, the land use, the change in the zoning, all those technical things. And many of those will set in motion some of the other approvals, like the PUC. But we are just moving right along, and I don't think there's any reason that we won't get to those votes this year.
That's what I'm hoping. That's why I had the binding vote season shirt when we met. I know I had to show you the shirt, all for charity too, by the way. So
I loved it. That was such a great day. And like, you know, we were out in the sunshine, seeing the sparkle off the water and just thinking like, this is what an A's game is going to feel like.
Yeah. I mean, it could be spectacular. It is a lot of work. Nobody said it was going to be easy. I'll reiterate that point. We know it's going to be hard, but it could be spectacular if they pull it off. And hopefully we will know something before the end of the year would be awesome. Maybe even before November would be great too. Thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime, Casey.